Question asks us what focal length the eye has to have to focus on an object that is 10 centimeters away and 100 meters away. And this is showing us a very simplified diagram of an eyeball consisting of a lens that is out front of the eyeball, and that lens is acting like a converging lens. And we can solve this problem using the thin lens equation, which says that 1 over the object distance plus 1 over the image distance equals 1 over the focal length. Okay, so we're going to solve for the focal length. But in order to do this, we need to know what the image distance is. And the image distance is the distance from the lens to the back of the eye. And clearly this is going to differ depending on the person. I'm just going to use a very crude rule of thumb that this is about 1 inch. But because I'm doing a science class, I'm going to go metric and say that's about 2.5 centimeters. And obviously you could plug in a slightly different number here and get a slightly different result. So if I'm looking at something that is 1 centimeter away, or 10 centimeters away, rather, I find the focal length by taking 1 over the object distance. So I'm looking at something that's 10 centimeters away. And then I add 1 over the image distance, which I'm assuming to be 2.5 centimeters. And then, to get the math right, I have to take the inverse of all of that. So, let's see, 1 over 10 plus 1 over 2.5. Little inverse button on the calculator is very helpful in doing these problems. And then I take the inverse of all that, and that ends up being 2.0 centimeters. What is it if I'm looking at something that is 100 meters away? Well, now my object distance is 100 meters, but since I'm doing everything here in centimeters, I'm going to go 100 meters to centimeters times another 100, so 10,000 centimeters plus 1 over 2.5 centimeters, the 1 over the image distance. Take the inverse of all of that. So inverse of 10,000, very small number. Inverse of 2.5, comparatively big number. And you'll notice that it is very close to the 2.5 centimeter image distance there. So the lens that's in your eye is actually different from the lens that you might experiment with in a lab, like a magnifying glass. In lenses that are made of some hard material like glass, the focal length is fixed in that lens based on how much curvature the lens maker ground into that. But the eye works a little bit different. In the eye, the image distance that you want to focus things at is generally fixed by the diameter of your eye. And so your eye changes focal length in order to focus on things that are close up and then later focus on things that are far away. And you do that by contracting or relaxing the muscles in your eye to change the curvature of the lens.